Hey, what's up guys, back again with another video in the C++ series. This episode I'll be showing you how to do overloaded functions within C++, because last episode we learned about functions and how to create function prototypes, how to define functions and all that fun stuff. So now we can move on to how to overload functions, which is a way for you to create multiple versions of the same function name. So we can create multiple definitions of the same function, basically. Multiple prototypes, all kinds of cool stuff. So I'll show you that in a second. It's a very simple concept, so don't get worried. But so let's just go ahead and explain what that is with what I usually do. I just type it out. So overloading functions, and overloading functions, how I would describe it, is multiple versions of the same function. Alright, so let's just go ahead and create a function here. Any function works. We'll just make something really simple like we did last episode. We'll do speak, so void speak. So it's not going to return anything, right, because it's void, remember that. So it's not going to return anything, but it is going to take a parameter of message. So what we want this to do is print out that message, and that's why it's void. We don't want it to return anything because we're just going to print it out ourselves within the function, basically, okay? So that's how that works. It's a very simple function here, and let's go down here. And we don't have to define it further because we made the prototype and the definition in all in one go. So now we can call it if we want to. So we can go right here and do speak, and then we can put a message here saying, "Hi, I like shirts." Okay. Alright, so now let's run this and see what happens. Of course, we need to put a semicolon there, and now we can run this and it should work. Alright, so there we go. It says, "Hi, I like shirts" within the console. Very simple. So now let's say that we want to accept maybe, we want to print out a message, but it's a number we want to print out, something like that, right? We want to print something out other than a sentence, so we could do speak, and let's say we want to print out the number 45, we could put 45 in there, but we get an error because 45, that's an integer, right? But this is only accepting a string, so we somehow need to make this parameter, or this function, again, but making it accept integers also. So we can do that by overloading the function, aka creating the same function but with a different parameters. So void speak, and then we can do int number or message, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter what the name is. And then we can open this up here, do cout integer inline. So instead of printing a string like last time, in this first version of the function, and this version of the function that we just created, we're printing out a integer. Very simple. So now we need a semicolon. Oh yeah, we put int instead of number, my bad. So number, there we go. So that fixes that issue, errors go away. And so now this was there for this went away too, so we can see that it's no longer underlined with red, so now it should work if we run this now. So it should print out "Hi, I like shirts," and it should print out 45. That's pretty cool, right? And the cool thing about this is that C++ is able to recognize what data type you're using, so it knows which function to use. So basically we could make this code for this function totally different from this code of the first function, but since it has a different parameter, it knows which one to use, okay? So we could do, for example, number plus 100, and that would still work perfectly, just as long as the parameter is different for the function. That's how you overload it, okay? But let's say that we keep the parameter the same, like string of message, just like that. That's not going to work because we already have a function with string message. You just simply can't do that. Let's get rid of this. Alright, so if we go ahead and run this, we can see that we get an error when we run this because we already created this version of the function, so we need to create an overloaded function. So we can do that by changing the parameter like we did a second ago. So the point is, just to reiterate, you cannot have the same parameter, and if you change the parameter, that's how you successfully overload a function, okay? So we can add another version. First, let's fix the one that we just had a second ago. There we go. So we can add another version. We can overload the function even more if you want to. So void speak, and this time we can accept a double number, just like that. And then we can open this up, cout number, sorry I can't type, inline, okay? So that would work the very exact same way. So speak, and then now if you want to put a double in here, it recognizes that you want to use this one because this one only accepts a double, so it pretty much knows exactly what you want to do. So let's fix that right there, and let's try running this now, and it should work. And boom, so it says "Hi, I like shirts" 45 and then 34.5. exactly what we wanted to do. And so that's very, very simple, right? That's how you overload functions. But let me show you another A more realistic practical example, something that you actually might, sort of use whenever you're trying to overload a function. So let's say that you want to calculate the area for a circle, for example, right? So we could do double area, and we can give it a parameter of double radius because we want the radius to be entered as a parameter so that we can take that radius and then calculate the area of the function. I mean the circle, because you need a radius to get area, right? So to get the area, we could do return 3.14, which is pi. It's a very shortened version of pi, but it is pi, times radius, because the formula for a circle, the area of a circle, is pi times r squared, I believe. So that's how that should work. So let's try running this now. Let's get rid of this here. We don't need that anymore. So we could do cout area of my circle space area 5, right? And this time we're putting into a cout statement here. Remember, because this time we're actually returning something. We're not actually printing something out in the function. So if we're returning something, we can take that return value as the function and then print it out, okay? So now let's try running this. So we should do the area with a radius of 5 for a circle. So area of my circle is equal to 78.5. So I'm going to just trust that that is correct, or sort of correct at least, pretty similar. So now let's say we want to add another area, right? Let's say we want to calculate the area of some other shape. We can do that by doing double area and then double base double height, just like that. And then now we could do int area is equal to base, or no, we need to put this in parentheses here, so base times height divided by 2. Because one of the most basic formulas that you learn for area, right in middle school or whatever, is how to calculate the area of a triangle, and that's base times height divided by 2, I believe. I hope so. So area, that returns area. So now we could do the same thing exactly, except for a triangle, right? So of my triangle area, and then now we can pass in some values here like 2 and 3. So base and height is 2 and 3, and then now it's going to calculate all that for us and then return the value out to the console. But well, that works perfectly, but we also need to do inline, if we want to add anything after that. But you get the point, right? That's how that works. Very, very simple. And that's it. That's how you basically overload a function. All you got to do, remember, the most basic rule when you're overloading a function is that you need to have a different set of parameters. It doesn't matter how many parameters you have, just as long as it's not the same parameters, then you're good to go, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions about that, you can ask in the comment section below. But I want to show you one thing real quick, or explain one thing real quick. Is whenever you have a variable inside of a function, or maybe an if statement, I believe I told you about this before, but whenever you have it inside of a function here, that's called an instance variable, and that means that that variable, if it's declared inside of this function, it cannot be accessed outside of that function. So for example, if we wanted to change the value of area, right here, down here for some reason, we could do area is equal to 6, but that would not work because area does not actually exist outside of that scope. I believe I told you about scope before, like I said, but scope means that you can only access a variable in the same block of code as where it's declared. So what I mean by that is this area integer is declared inside of this block of code here, the function, right? So that means that anything outside of that cannot be used, but anything inside of that, for example, if you have an if statement, it can be used inside of here because technically that's inside of the block of code that it was declared in, okay? So just keep that in mind whenever you're working with instance variables, okay? Kind of simple, but yeah, just keep that in mind. So anyway, like I said, that's it for this episode. If you have any questions about what I showed you today, you can ask in the comment section below. But I would rather you join our Discord server. We have a Discord server. The link is in the description for you, so make sure you join that. We have about 300 people, and a lot of them will be glad to help you if you need any help. And you can find a friend if you want to, if you don't have any friends like me. So yeah, by the way, all the code from today's episode is going to be in the description below also, so make sure you click the link for the code and then bookmark it for future use in case you forget how to do everything, because it happens sometimes. You forget how to do something. So yeah, anyway, bookmark that. And one more thing that just came up is that we have a new way for you to support the channel. If you go to the channel page, the home page of the channel, you can click join. There's a big join button, so click join, and then you can join for either 99 cents, $5, or $10, something like that. So I know the lowest one is 99 cents and then $5, but I don't know the highest one, but you get the point. If you want to support this channel, then you can do that. I would be glad. I would love you if you did that. Because it helps a lot no matter how small the amount is. So make sure you join the channel. You get perks too if you join, so yeah, maybe check it out. Yeah, so that's it. If you like this video, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe, and peace.